Okay, well, recently I have been commenting on all the controversy that's swirling around in the gaming industry, noticing what's going on with the video games and everything else. And I think one of the things that really needs discussing, or at least I would like to weigh in on, is ultimately, well, what can I do about it? And some of the stuff that I talked about, I believe I've already mentioned this, but it's worth mentioning again and focusing in on it. With tabletop RPGs, okay, it all begins at the table with the host slash game master slash storyteller, whatever. But it begins at that table and begins with the host or hostess. And what needs to be done is, especially if this is with a group of players or some players that you're not familiar with, you need to lay out what kind of behavior you expect at the table. And this is where it begins. What kind of behavior do you condone? Will you put up with? And again, I reiterate that probably one of the best patterns to follow, if not the best, is the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat those other people around the table like you yourself would like to be treated. To me, it is just that simple. Well, it's simple to say, it's very difficult to do at times. But I think ultimately this is where it begins. This is where inclusion begins. This is where the sort of sexism, good old boy, what do they call it in England? Lads behavior needs to be headed off at the pass. By simply letting everybody know these sorts of things are not tolerated. Or maybe they are. And if that's the case, then, I as a player can simply say, I'm sorry, this isn't the kind of group that I really want to be a part of. Then say why. It's not enough to just go, storming off or flouncing off or whatever. Let everybody know why you're leaving. Whether or not this makes an impression, I don't know, but at least you have stood up and said, I'm not putting up with this. As the game master, it is up to you to look at the player who is indulging in what you feel is egregious behavior, especially if it's obviously discomforting other players. And just simply go, hey, you, dude, or whatever. Let them know we don't tolerate this around here. This is not how we interact. And if necessary, make sure they understand, ask if they understand that. And let them know that if they continue in this behavior, whether, making rape jokes or harassing a female player, harassing another player for whatever, you know what? You've been warned. You persist in behaving like this, maybe you need to find another group where such behavior is tolerated. Just like that. Yeah. But again, it's up to us. Michael Jackson. Yeah, that's right, B. Michael Jackson. Probably my favorite song of his, and yeah, I liked a few of his songs, was The Man in the Mirror, because that's where it all begins. The gamer in the mirror. You don't expect somebody else to go, yeah, well, I'm not going to do whatever. I'm not going to, put up with this kind of sexist behavior or idiocy or whatever. Be the change you wish to make. That's what I'm saying. You have to be that change. Now, really don't get all snotty about it. I've seen that happen. It's bad behavior for a good cause. That doesn't really help. But let people know why you find this behavior offensive, especially if you're a player. Speak to the GM. Let him know, hey, this guy next to me is putting the moves on me. Or, so and so's doing this or so and so's doing that, and get it settled. If you find the GM is not, particularly offended by this or whatever, then you need to find another group. You should find another group. As quite frankly, I myself really wouldn't want to play, under a game master that has no problem with rape jokes or threats or any other kind of crap. One more thing I'd like to add here, we may as well. How do you deal with problem players? How do you deal with the disruptive players? Now, of course, the first thing is, you might just say, hey, you're out. Really? Again, is that how you want to be treated? Let me give you a little advice. It's something that I think works well. You take them aside and you simply ask, okay, what's the matter? Why are you behaving in this manner? Now, I'm trying to remember who I heard this from. It may have been Runeslinger, maybe somebody else. But the upshot idea is you ask them, okay, what's wrong? Maybe there's something wrong in their personal life that's causing them to behave like this. Or you could just get hey, what am I doing wrong? Hey, if they can't take a joke, and about that time you're like, okay, that's how you feel? Why do you need to make these kind of jokes? Keep asking them, why are they behaving like this? Now, you're going to get some real dick answers like, because I can. Well, okay, my response to that would be, okay, I would suggest then you find another group because you're really not welcome here anymore. And that to me is one of the better ways to deal with it. So to reiterate, be the change you wish to see. To me, follow the golden rule. Treat the other people at the table as you yourself would like to be treated. And I think you're going to have a really good time. Okay, until next time, which is probably going to be sometime in another hour or so, have fun, play games, rock on.